I think going from a period where we had a very short growing season in a number of the northern areas and some even crop failures or significant yield problems that really limited supply this past year. And if we go back to normal yields or trendline yields, even with the same amount of acres, we'll have a lot more potatoes in the market than we had for the last few months. And so the trick is managing the market from now until we get into next season, making sure that prices stay at that kind of sweet spot where it's good for consumers, good for restaurants, good for retailers, good for the producer, that we're kind of still keeping decent movement. But sometimes the markets aren't properly coordinated or planned. We get these high spikes in prices that we saw in 2008. It took a year and a half to kind of bottom out from that and kind of restart demand and make sure we're getting potatoes back in the promotional calendars for the retailers and back on the menus for restaurants and the food service operators.
Do you get a sense that the higher commodity markets is going to help the potato market, or what do you think?
Not necessarily. I think the finished price of some of the other vegetables or even rice or pasta, that those prices at the retail don't necessarily reflect the higher commodity prices nearly as directly as certain changes in the potato market. So in terms of the competing commodities, I wouldn't expect them to move up too much. The big benefit from the higher commodity prices is that it helps growers really focus in on planning to demand. If they know that they can have a guaranteed higher margin on some of the alternative crops, it's much easier to not have to worry and use kind of hope as a strategy of saying, well, I'll plant potatoes and hope that some other region has a crop failure and I'll be able to find a market for these potatoes. But if there are the other crops out there, growers should be able to make the decision, this is my customer base, this is what I need to produce, and I just need to plant to meet that demand to build my business for the future. But I don't need to plant potatoes hoping that there'll be some great thunderbolt from the sky that'll ruin a crop in Russia like it did this past year, or that suddenly potatoes will be the new aphrodisiac and there'll be a market for potatoes.